Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special day here on FTN because I am here with.
Hey, I'm Janet Varney. I'm the voice of Korra, and I am following the nerd.
Yes, she is, ladies and gentlemen. We have Korra on the show. This is so awesome. So, first of all, Miss Varney, thank you for joining us here today.
Oh, thank you for calling me Miss Varney. That feels very official indeed.
Oh, I'm old school, you know. If you want me to call you Janet, that's fine, but I'd rather show you the respect I believe you deserve.
I thank you very much. You're welcome to call me Janet.
Okay, thank you, Janet. All right, so let's get started with this. First of all, Legend of Korra Season 3 Change, or Book 3 Change, starts tomorrow. I speak for a lot of fans by saying we are very, very excited. So,
Yay!
it's double yay. Very unexpected. Let's start off with that. Did you know that Season 3 was going to be coming out tomorrow? Because there was no indication until like last week that this was happening.
Yeah, I didn't know, and when I tweeted it out, I meant it very sincerely. I had no idea. I literally got a text from Mike DiMartino, who also had just found out. He was like, "Hey, this is sudden. I just found out. Book three's airing next Friday, June 27th at 7 Eastern Pacific. Can you tell everyone?" And I wrote back and was like, "Huh, yes, I can. I also didn't know that." I think there was something going on internally with programming where they were maybe going to hang on to it for a different time frame, and then the demand for it was so great or something that they were just like, all right, let's go ahead and just release it. So and not only are they releasing the season premiere episode, but they're actually showing two back-to-back episodes. The episode titles are A Breath of Fresh Air and Rebirth, so I'll let you wonder what that means. And then they're also going to be showing a special bonus episode called The Earth Queen, and I will say that is a very significant episode title.
Yay! For the record, I do know what it's about because I'm awesome. Never mind. But
Nice.
no, the trailer and some of the things I've been hearing, it's very revealing. But I will leave that at that. But yeah, that was very unexpected. I was really at work and I'm like scrolling through the internet on a break and I'm like, wait a minute, Korra's coming back on Friday? What the heck?
Yeah, I know.
Because if you recall, last year you guys didn't spill anything about Book 2 until Comic-Con, which was the big unveil, which the release month and Juan was coming, and then it was just like, nope, here it is. It's coming this week. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
now that's actually a good question to raise. Season 2 was interesting for a lot of reasons, but one of them was the very, I don't want to say rushed, but bundled, I guess is a good way of saying it, scheduling, because you had, the 1 hour season premiere, then you had a couple 1 hour nights like beginnings and another couple key episodes, and then you had basically 4 episodes released in one night to wrap up season 2. And a lot of fans are kind of curious about this because they're like, are they just trying to get it out before, before a certain time frame? There's a conspiracy theorist who think that Nickelodeon just doesn't like Korra and they're just trying to rush out all the episodes. And now, with season 3, you have 3 episodes, back to back to back. What do you make of all this?
I don't like to speculate too much about it, although the one thing that I can say for sure is that it certainly doesn't have anything to do with Nickelodeon not liking the show.
I
The
agree.
show's it's one of the most successful shows in the history of the network. And everybody at the network is so behind it, and they love it, and they support Mike and Brian so much. So anytime anything like that happens, typically it has a lot more to do with trying to deliver to the fans because there's such a demand for the content, but also being up against production schedules because it's a very complicated show to produce. It's very, very, very painstakingly worked on in terms of the music to the art direction, the animating itself, the hand drawing of the backgrounds, the characters, everything that goes into it just takes a really long time. And Mike and Brian are very, very hands-on with all of their projects. And so sometimes what happens is, that there is a little bit of a hurry up and wait situation where, the demand is there for the content, but it's just not ready yet. And then when it is ready, they, throw out as much as they can to the fans as possible. So, again, I'm sort of speaking for them, and I can't say I'm speaking officially of any particular timeline, but I know that that's something that has come up before and probably will again with a program of this nature.
Yeah. And for me, I understand it for certain points of view. It is a network thing, it is a scheduling thing, and you're trying to get this out to the fans, so I respect that. And for anyone who thinks it's a conspiracy theory, 3 episodes in one night. Remember, they're not showing an episode next week. So essentially, we're getting the premiere, then we have to wait 2 weeks to get the next episode. So,
Well, we're still working on ADR for this season,
oh,
so
you
that's
are.
like I said, that's part of it. Is that sometimes we'll get something back and we need to add some more fight sounds or something like that. So there's a lot of different stuff going on and reasons for things happening the way they do.
Yeah. So respect the process. I think that's what we can
Oh, that's a great
do.
way of putting it. Yeah,
Respect
I
the
should have
process because
I should have put it
one
that
of the
way.
things that I know a lot of fans, and I listen to a lot of them, love about Korra is that you maintain the old school, if you will, style of the drawing and the handcraftedness of it, whereas other shows, including certain Nickelodeon shows like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, have embraced the 3D isms of the world. And you guys, you take your time, you do it right, and then you make these beautiful episodes of Korra. So thank you, and feel free to tell Mike and Brian that thank you for keeping to this process, and the detail is just phenomenal. From, like I said, the sights, the sounds, the voice actors and actresses. It
Yeah.
it just it just makes a better show in my opinion. I love the old school style because you can do so much more in my opinion, and it
I agree.
totally works.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's very rich and textured and layered in a way that you don't always see. And I absolutely will pass that along. It's one of my great privileges to do interviews and do convention appearances and stuff and sort of act as an emissary and a representative of the real geniuses behind the show, Mike and Brian.
You're both an avatar and an emissary. That's quite a title.
I hope I can live up to any of it.
You do. So let's get into now season one. Took a lot of people by surprise. First of all, that it existed was a surprise because, Last Airbender, 3 seasons, 60 episodes, perfectly told story. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, we're getting something back. And it was like, oh, it's going to be a mini series. And, it's only going to be 12 episodes and everything. We're giving you a taste of it. And then the fans poured in, said, no, we want more Korra. We want more Korra. And so we got seasons 2, 3, and 4 now. Do you just did that just blow your mind where it was like, oh, it's supposed to be a miniseries and then boom, no, it's a full on series now because the fans just got behind you and everyone else?
Yeah, I guess I don't. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know that I knew specifically that it was by popular demand that we got picked up again. I think I thought, and I again, I don't want to misspeak here in terms of kind of Mike and Brian, but I think they always originally wanted it to be another book, 4 books.
Ooh.
But I feel that they've said that, so I don't think I'm misspeaking.
I like that.
I could be wrong.
No, I mean it's just and if you for many fans they look at the first one and they're like, oh, it's a complete thing, Korra. We get introduced to Korra. We see she's still learning to be the Avatar. Then by the end, she technically is the Avatar. Villain. It's very one-off. These books have been very one-off, which is good because that's.
And that is a really good point. Yeah, no, that's a really good point because that's something that we were really excited about is that each book really has its own independent flavor and it's not necessarily this continuum where everything's just like it was in the cliffhanger and so get ready for more of the same. It's really they really stick to exploring different elements of the universe and different, I think, values and challenges and good and evil, in the way that it's represented in each book. And I think, book 3 will not disappoint.
Yeah. Okay, so as we've said numerous times, you're Korra, and Korra is easily one of the most interesting characters of the series. Not just because she's the Avatar, and it's honestly because she's so independent. She's got that. She's a waterbender, but she's got a lot of fire in her, and
Yeah.
a lot of people resonate with that, both for good and for bad. Unfortunately, and there's always no. You should. There's this one guy in this forum. He will never like Korra. I'm serious. He just every post it's like, flaming Korra, and it's just like I can't stand it. It's just like can't you just appreciate how epic Korra is? Honestly.
Well, but he's there because he obviously can't let it go. It's
Yeah.
speaking to him on some level
Yeah.
to where he has to stay involved, and it's pushing buttons, and I think that's valuable in its own right.
And you're right.
People with that voice who are expressing that kind of dissent, I think help other people and fans and people who are coming onto the forums, shape their own opinions about that character and about other characters. And I understand it. I just said in another recent interview that sometimes people wait for 2 hours in a convention line just to come up and tell me that they don't like Korra, and I don't take that personally. They have problems with who she is as a character in terms of feeling like her weaknesses are too frustrating, or that her choices are too frustrating. And to that, I basically just say, you know what? She's a person, and she is complicated, to your point, and you don't have to love her. Like you can watch the show and loathe her and like other characters, and I think it's still interesting storytelling, and it's still. It's like, well, what bothers you so much about her? Because I honestly believe that I can say in my own life, and I think many of us can, that when someone really, really, kind of gets like rankles me, when someone really gets under my skin, and I'm like, oh, it's very rare that there isn't some element of that person, if you'll pardon the pun, that is the reflection of things that I worry about in my own self. It's like, oh, that person will not stop talking. I can't stand them. I wonder if I talk too much. You know what I mean? It's just, so I think that the people who are the most frustrated by Korra, I don't know, it's possible that they don't want to see a reflection of, real humanity and like frustrating choices and people who have a hard time necessarily doing what you think is the right thing sometimes. Maybe they're struggling with that in themselves, and I don't mean that as like I know you are, but what am I? But I just can speak to that as the times when I'm most frustrated with Korra are usually the times when she's behaving closest to the things that I wish I could change about myself.
Yeah. And honestly, Ms. Janet, sorry, that's a very beautiful answer, and I wish I could tell that guy that, because they're like, oh, Korra is, she's too angry, and I'm like, what, you don't know a person who's that angry,
Yeah.
And it's just, I think a lot of people just, they see the differences between Aang and Korra, and
Yep.
the differences in their lifestyles. One was a monk who, to our knowledge, didn't have parents, and Korra, Korra has parents, and the parents were obviously a big part of season 2, and just, they see the differences, and they're like, oh, but she's not as pure as Aang, and I'm like, well, duh.
Right.
If she was exactly like Aang, what would be the point of the series? We need a new avatar. And
Exactly.
so, but I appreciate Korra, and again, that's a great answer. I hope people will listen to that and take that to heart, because sometimes the best characters are the ones that are so human we have to hate them, because
Yeah.
we don't want that. We want these cartoons and these movies and these like comic book characters to be the best of us. Well, that's a minority at best. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, continuing on, 'cause Korra has been on a very long journey. First was journey to find, her airbending self and to defeat the Equalists, and then the second was all about the spirit world, spirituality, and dealing with everything that came with being the Avatar and being part of the Water Tribes. Uh, what can we expect from Korra in season 3? I mean, I know you can't spoil anything, but what do you think she'll be facing going forward? I mean, is it just the consequences of her actions in the season finale?
Well, I think that's a really good way. That's a really good place to start. As we know, she did leave the spirit portals open, and I think that we really are going to have to take a pretty long look at the unexpected consequences of that. As we discover in the first episode, and I am allowed to tease this out a little bit. We're looking at wild spirit vines
Ooh.
that have overgrown Republic City.
Oh, so it's in Republic City. Oh, that's did not know
Yeah,
that.
and so there you go. There's a little bit of a peek for you.
Yay.
And we're also focusing a lot on airbenders. Are there the same number? Are there fewer? Are there potentially more? Can we identify them? Do we need them? Why do we need them? Can we help rebuild the Air Nation with these new airbenders? So I think there's, big airbending fans, Aang fans can look forward to what I think is a real treat in this season, because there's a real focus on airbending.
Awesome. So that's nice. That's a nice little callback.
Yeah.
Now, as with any good show, it's not just about the main character. That's you. It's about the cast, and you have some pretty both talented characters on Korra and some talented actors and actresses. The PJ Bryan and J.K. Simmons. And is
David
it just
yeah.
Yeah? It's like we can go on and on. So Team Avatar as a whole, is it fun doing the voice acting together when you're all in the same room and you're just bouncing lines off one another?
Oh yeah, it's a real joy. That's something that Nickelodeon and Andrea Romano, our vocal director, and Mike and Brian, who were present for that. She's amazing. Mike and Brian are one of them is always there, if not both. They are really careful to try to orchestrate as much as possible, because we do get so much benefit from getting that opportunity and that blessing of working in the room together. The scene work just has so much more richness to it, I think, when you are lucky enough to get to play off of somebody. So it's really a thrill. I've said this in an interview before, but when I first had the opportunity to be in the booth with J.K. Simmons, the vocal director was like, okay, let's move on to the scene between Tenzin and Korra. And I said, I'm sorry, can I just hear you say, let's move on to this scene with J.K. Simmons and Janet Varney? Because I just want to hear someone say my name next to his, which he gave me a lot of grief about, because he's really funny and he teases people and stuff, and he's just wonderful. And so there have been a lot of moments like that. Like if I asked someone to say my name next to every single actor that I worship who has ended up on the show, we wouldn't have any time to record, because they would just be doing that all day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I just feel so lucky to get the opportunity to work with people like who have been added, and even just guest stars who've popped in over the years to delight and amaze us with their amazing gifts. And to have someone like John Michael Higgins, be such a big part of the cast. I'm a huge improv nerd, and that's really,
Nice.
Where a lot of my background is, and a lot of the stuff that I do when I'm not doing Korra. So having someone who's been in, the Christopher Guest movies and stuff like that, he basically doesn't even have to open his mouth to make me laugh, has just been such a thrill.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm also a big improv guy, so it's nice to hear that other actresses and actresses like that too.
Yeah, love it. Love.
All right, let's wrap up with this. Okay, let's have a little fun. If alternate timeline, if you had the opportunity to be a character from the Last Airbender, like to voice a character from the Last Airbender, who would you want to be?
Oh boy. That's tough, because I know all of those actors and I think they all just do such an extraordinary job.
Sure.
I think I'm going to extend it out to say that if I could, I wouldn't want to replace her,
No.
but if I could be as talented as she is, I would say Grey Delisle. I mean, I just think
Who played?
she played, sorry, I'm thinking about the character that
Zula?
she plays this. Yeah, she played Azula. I'm thinking
Okay.
about. I wanted to say the character that she plays in our series now, and that's not, because that's how multi-talented she is that she does so many different characters. I blank on names. Anyway, yeah, I thought that she did such a great job with Azula. She's really a master at creating. I mean, obviously she's great at creating heroic and funny and silly and goofy characters too. But I think her villains are so. They're so good, like any great actor who plays a great villain. It's like, I think the difference between one who does a good job and one who does a great job is that somehow the really great ones manage to make it seem like these villains think they're good people. And
That's
I
true.
think that's one of the things that is so great about her is and about the writing is that, and that was one of the coolest things about season one, kind of coming to understand the way Mike and Brian work and the way they like to tell their stories is that, people have reasons, they have justifications, and Amon was such a great villain
Loved
because
Amon.
you sort of you're like, oh, he's so bad and he's so scary, but you're like, oh, he really has a point. He really has a point, and so I think that's exciting to me. It's really fun playing the good guy, but it's also really fun playing the bad guy.
Oh, it's so true. I've had the honor of doing both in my very short acting career, and by that I mean like High School Musicals and all that. And yeah, I was like,
Those villains are the best,
oh, I
man.
know.
They're the best.
Yeah, I did a melodrama, and I had like the mustache and the black cape and the top hat and everything. It was
Oh,
fantastic. Oh, I was the star of the show, obviously.
crazy old school. I love it.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was amazing. So thank you, Miss Varney slash Janet slash Cora for
My pleasure.
and should in one word sum up season three.
Spectacular.
Boom. There you go, everybody. So, Legend of Korra, Book 3, Change, coming tomorrow, or aka June 27th, 2014, at 7, 6 Central Eastern Time. We'd like to thank Miss Varney once again for coming and chatting with us at Following the Nerd. And we hope you will be with us next time. Bye bye.
Bye.